You've probably heard the term America 2.0. If you're in Brazil, you heard Brazil 2.0, or in Germany, Germany 2.0. There is a new normal coming in business. In this video, we will talk about the 5 critical habits that we want to look at that have emerged as a result of the pandemic or the reaction to the pandemic, and how that's going to affect our sales going forward. Let's begin with an overview. In this overview section, we will talk about what's happening in sales and how you might want to respond. First of all, the old game is over. The days are gone now when we can sell the way we used to sell, and we're not done yet. There are unintended consequences. There are other things happening that are going to continue to shape the way that we sell. So we're going to see a 2.1, a 2.2, and a 2.3. Change is going to continue unabated. In fact, many of the changes that are happening in sales now were going to happen anyway, and were actually happening in other companies. We had several clients who were adopting and embracing these new concepts that are new to many people. We want to look at how your organization could capitalize on them. This change is being forced on us. It's not by choice. It's something that has been forced on us as a result of the way the pandemic has emerged and manifested itself. But remember this: become sales focused, not only sales driven. Become sales focused, not only sales driven. Every organization is sales driven. Sales generates the revenue, the money that we use to run our organization. That's the fuel that runs the engine. Becoming sales focused means everybody in the company focuses on what they are doing, could be doing, or should not be doing to foster sales in your organization. The first habit we want to look at is outcome. Outcome is going to drive many of the other changes that we're going to be making in sales. Basically, you have 3 options: thrive, survive, or dive. You know how us professional speakers like alliteration, so thrive, survive, or dive. Another way of saying that is to grow, flow, or slow. Grow means you have chosen to take your organization to the next level. You would like to increase revenues, you'd like to increase profit, you'd like to increase volume, all at the same time. That's the thrive mentality. The flow mentality is just to focus on cash flow. I'm hearing more and more of my clients say they have competitors who are selling at cost or at a loss just to generate cash flow, just to keep the doors open. That's a short-term loser strategy. And then when we look at slow, it's going to be a slow death. There are companies out there who know they're not going to survive or think they're not going to survive, and they're just trying to minimize the damage or maybe hold on in case something else is going to come along. When we look at what's happening in sales, the responsibility for the new sales, the sales 2.0 in your organization, is the responsibility of your chief sales officer. A CSO is not a VP of sales or a manager of sales. It's someone that's in the C-suite, just like a COO or a CFO. Many organizations do not have a CFO, a chief financial officer, and so that responsibility falls to the CEO. If you do not have a CSO, and most companies do not, the responsibility falls to the chief executive officer. So as the CEO, you're going to wear at least 2 hats. That is, the one of the CEO and the CSO as it relates to sales. The function of the CEO is to point out the destination. Where is your organization going? They are referred to as the corporate visionary. They determine where the organization is going. The CEO does that based on what they can learn from technical journals and economic journals and from peer groups, from looking at their industry, from looking at their customers' industries. It's a very high-level thought process that helps them determine where your organization is going to go. At the next level, sometimes referred to as the C-level or the C-suite, that's where the strategies are developed that are going to support the visionaries desires, the visionary's destination. Whatever the visionary has said, this is where we are going, the strategic level begins developing the strategies, financial strategies, operational strategies, and of course, sales strategies. Next, we look at the VP level and the manager level. These are more tactical. They're breaking down the strategies, the strategic plans, into tactical moves that need to be done in order to achieve the strategies which are going to achieve the corporate vision. Then for salespeople, they are at the task level. This is where the sales actually happen, and every task they perform should be engaged or should be under the auspices of a tactic, which is supporting a strategy. When we look at outcome, we want to look at where the results are based on where the resources are. So when we start looking for resources, especially for sales, we begin with the client's desired outcomes. The outcome of your organization should be determined by your customers' desired outcomes. Where are they trying to go? What are they trying to achieve? And how can you help them go there? You may also want to look at your clients' industries. Are they in a healthy industry? Or are they in a growing industry? Or are they in an industry that's going to be sluggish for a while or maybe for a long period of time? So when determining your desired outcome, you want to know what industries you could support. You also want to look at your clients' supply chains. If your clients' supply chains have gaps in them or have elongations in them, there's going to be some long delays in delivery, you want to know that because that could present an opportunity for you and your organization. We're going to drill down into this a little more later, but look at your customers' supply chains. How are they being supplied? How healthy are they? And then, of course, you're going to have to look at economic incentives and disincentives. We don't know what Washington is going to do. We don't know what other tax breaks are going to come or what penalties are going to be out there. So all of these factors have to be folded into determining your desired outcome. This is why we set the corporate outcome responsibility at the CEO level. And what kind of results will come from this? Well, first of all, you can prioritize. You can prioritize clients. Who are the best clients to help you meet your desired outcome? You can prioritize industries. Are some industries healthier or better than others? And you can also look for supply chain opportunities. We'll talk about that, as I said, in more detail later. And then your initial 2.0 plan can be developed. And after your initial 2.0 plan is developed, you want to be able to change it, to modify it, to make it 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, based on other changes that happen in your market, your industry, and in technology. One of the best tools for formulating your plan and for updating your plan is Kaizen for sales. Kaizen for sales, or Kaizen, is a Japanese term for continuous improvement, continuous quality improvement. It's sometimes known as lean, the lean processes. This is something that started post-World War II. CQI went into Japan, and we found that made in Japan used to mean something cheap. But in today's world, the Japanese products that are coming out are typically some of the highest quality. So how can you take Kaizen into your sales organization? You may already have it in engineering and in manufacturing. How do you do continuous quality improvement in sales? The key word here is continuous improvement. We're not going to write our sales 2.0 plan and put it up on the shelf and think it's going to be viable for a while, because it isn't. The mantra behind Kaizen is better, faster, lower cost. For us salespeople, that means my next sales call is going to be better than the one that I did today, which was better than the one that I did yesterday. Continuous quality improvement. My sales calls are going to happen faster. I'm going to use tools. I'm going to use automation. I'm going to use processes that will help me sell faster without compromising quality. And I will be able to do my sales calls at a lower cost. I will be spending less resources, including money, developing better and faster sales processes. The outcome is going to be EDA, which is eliminate, delegate, automate. Eliminate, delegate, automate. Let's take a closer look at this. Kaizen for sales is a three-step process. Step one is you map your sales cycle. And the best way to do this is to use sticky notes or post-it notes, and you write on each note what you think each step in the sales cycle, each element of your sales cycle is. So typically the first one is leads. So you'd write leads on a post-it note and put it up on the wall. And then what happens after that? You write it on a post-it note and put it up number 2, number 3, and number 4. The reason we use post-it notes, they are going to change. What we thought was number 1 may become number 3. What we thought was number 5 may become number 2. We keep massaging our sales cycle until we understand what our sales cycle had become pre-pandemic and what it is likely to become post-pandemic. So step number 1, map your sales cycle. Step number 2, map your sales process. For each element of your sales cycle, you want to use another sticky note and write down the different steps that are involved in making that particular element happen. Some elements will be more complex than others. Some will require more steps than others. So step number 2, we map the sales process. And now we can apply EDA. Eliminate, delegate, automate. Look at each of these process steps below each element and ask yourself, can we eliminate this? Why do we do this? Why did we decide to do this in the first place? And you'll find that some elements, probably only a few, can be eliminated. Then we look at delegating. Could somebody else do this rather than the salesperson and free up the salesperson's resources, time, money, and energy to doing other things? So to whom could we delegate? And then finally, we look at, are there some functions here that we could automate, some things that we could actually have the computer do for us, or an online service do for us, or other people do for us? Could this be automated? And as you work through this process over and over again, you will continue to find elements you can eliminate, delegate, and automate. The first time you do a sales Kaizen event, it will be an arduous process. After that, it can happen in simply a matter of hours. The next thing we want to look at are tools. What tools do we have that we could use to sell even better, even faster, and at a lower cost? I recommend building a digital library. Our tools today need to be primarily digital, and they need to be primarily interactive. Here's what that means. We can develop a PowerPoint like I'm using here that's interactive. And you'll notice I use my mouse to move around and navigate in the PowerPoint. What if I handed this mouse to my customer and let them navigate? I would see which of those elements on that other screen are most important to them or important to you. Video can be interactive. We want to have links, as many links available as possible, so that when a customer asks a question, rather than having to take the time to answer the question, we could say that's covered clearly here in this area and give them the link. And then say, if you have any additional questions, or I will be following up with you, use links to save time, to save energy. Text must be approved by marketing. It must be approved by leadership. And when we have paragraphs that we can copy and paste, when we have text that we can insert into an email or into a letter, we have information that we know is going to hit the right way. Audio is a powerful tool. Podcasting has proven that people enjoy having something to listen to while they multitask. And then tools like calculators and configurators are coming online now. There are more and more of them than I've ever seen before, and they are very useful because they have a purpose. What is the purpose of the tool that you are creating? What is it supposed to do for the customer? And what could it do for the customer's customer? We have tools, calculators, and configurators that will do a cost justification. We have configurators that will allow customers to build their own product. We can do this on Amazon. We can put together packages on Amazon. Your customers are doing the same thing. Would they like to have that capability with your product and your service? Any tool that we build that is digital and interactive can be customer operated. It can be on our server. It could be on our tablet, we hand it to the customer. It could be on our phone and we hand that to the customer, over lunch even. What we want is to involve the customer. We want interaction because that's the best possible customer engagement. Let's look at two questions that the Chief Sales Officer should be asking and answering all day, every day. And those two questions are who else and what else? Who else could we be selling to, and what else could we be offering our existing customers? Who else could we be selling to, and what else could we offer our existing customers? Answering the who else question gives us horizontal growth. We find more people that we could be selling to. What kind of growth do we get with the what else question? Obviously, vertical growth. We can sell more stuff to our existing clients. Understand that vertical growth is typically more profitable. You already have the account. You already have the relationship. What else could you be doing for your existing customers? When we combine vertical and horizontal growth, we get exponential growth. And that's really what the thrivers are looking for. I don't want to survive, I want to thrive. I want to go to the next level. So where can we find this information? How do we go about doing this? We look at different industries and we profile the industry. Is this a viable industry we should be selling into? If it's a current industry, that's easier to do, but if it's a potential industry, maybe that's a new one, some horizontal growth you want to consider. What are the applications you could bring to the table for customers in that industry that would help make them more successful? What can you do to help your customers sell better, faster, and at a lower cost? See how it works? And then, who are the competitors that are already in that industry, and what do you have that is superior? How will you compete against people who are already entrenched in that industry or others who are coming into that industry? And then within the industry, we start looking at specific accounts. Which accounts within that industry do we want to call on? We prioritize them. Prioritizing accounts is very familiar to you. You've been doing it for a long time. But look for orphan accounts. Who is an orphan account? When you see any company fold their tent, any company go out of business, who are their customers? What industry are they in? How could you serve them? This can be Pandora's box for you. This can be a grand opportunity for you. If a company is going to stay in business, but one of their vendors is going out of business, they still need the resources or the capability. It doesn't necessarily mean that they need to do the same thing the same old way. It just means they need to be able to do something. For instance, Memorex owned the audio tape market. So if anybody wanted to do magnetic recording, Memorex was the best. Can you buy Memorex tape today? No, it was taken over by technologists. Memorex was a chemistry company. The digital audio is built by technology companies. Completely different industries, completely different approaches. This is where your creative juices can start finding new ways for you to sell in new places. You want to look for whales and trout. Whales are major accounts, national accounts, big accounts. Trout are lesser accounts, but not small accounts. The bulk of your accounts are probably trout accounts. So apply supply chain selling and see if this will bring up some opportunities for you. Here you are, you have vendors and you have customers. You depend on your vendors serving you so that you can serve your customers. In supply chain selling, which is taught in the Excelling course, we learn that we don't sell to, we sell through. Our contacts with our customers are designed to help them serve their customers better and faster and at a lower cost. We don't sell to, we sell through. If you're helping your customers sell, why would they buy from one of your competitors who sells at a lower price? It doesn't make sense. And here's where the magic really starts happening. As you examine your customer's supply chain, you start looking at their vendors. Who are their vendors? Who do they buy from? Could you partner with one of their vendors? If you could supply something to one of their vendors who would combine it with what they do for your customer and sell your customer a module rather than a part, how would that benefit the customer? Use an example of bicycle tires. If you made bicycle tires and you were selling them to the bicycle company, what if you sold them to the bicycle wheel companies so that the bicycle company would receive a wheel that already had a tire on it? That would eliminate inventory, eliminate process, may help them make bicycles better, faster, and at a lower cost. But the good news is, once you understand another vendor, you can understand their other customers and what you could be doing for their customers. We no longer look at vertical integration. We look at multi-point integration. What could we be doing for everyone in our supply chain and everyone in our customers' supply chain? Finally, let's look at compensation and organization. Compensation and organization. That's going to go through some changes. I recommend now keeping your sales plans pretty short, pretty close to the leash, because they're going to change a lot. Let's look at compensation first. In compensation, everything is up for grabs. Everything. Whatever we've known about compensation in the past, just take it off the board, clean the board off. Let's start with a clean piece of paper or a clean screen. This begins with outcome. What is your customer's desired outcome? And based on that, what is your desired outcome? What does your organization want to achieve? Consider having a different compensation plan for every salesperson. Each salesperson is under a different plan. And the reason is no two salespeople are the same, no two markets are the same, no two customers are the same. With today's technology, it is not that difficult to have a different comp plan for each person. A key here, however, keep your comp plan simple. If the salesperson cannot figure out their benefit, that is their commission or what they're going to make on the sale, while sitting in front of the customer without a pencil, your comp plan may be too complicated. You want to make sure they understand, and the comp plan needs to be focused on profit, and the comp plan needs to be focused on other outcomes that you want for your organization. Forget annual sales plans. In the fourth quarter of 2019, you put together your 2020 sales plan. How's that working for you? We had no idea this thing was coming, so now we need to be able to change quickly on the fly. A rolling X month plan means X equals 3 sales cycles typically. Let's say your average sales cycle is 1 month. From the time you get the lead till the time you close the sale, that's a month. Well, your rolling X month plan would be rolling 3 months. So at the end of 3 months, you would add 1 month on and take a previous month off and just keep rolling forward. At the end of each month, we move it out because you're able to accommodate changes in the market, changes in the industry, changes in technology, changes in competition, changes in the economy. There's so much going on out there that you want to be able to adapt to. We don't want to be locked into a 12-month plan. However, we do not change the annual quota. We keep the annual sales objective. If you need to generate $20 million in new sales in 2020, then that doesn't change. The way we get there is probably going to change. Sales plans need to be performance-based. What is performance? It's profit. Is your compensation plan focusing on profit? And do you have the tools necessary for your salespeople to make a profit-based sale? Do they have the skills necessary to sell on profit rather than selling on price? For a long time, us salespeople have said you can't compensate us on profit because we don't control overhead. We don't control labor costs and tax and inventory and all that kind of stuff. Well, there is a new concept now called SCP, which is sales contribution to profit. We use that as one of the new ideas in compensation. Here's a quick look at how it would work. It's much more detailed than this, but here's a quick look at how it would work. Here's a traditional sale. The sale is $100 and the salesperson is on a 10% commission. So, if the salesperson sells the item for $100, their commission at the top is $10 and the company realizes $90. But what if the customer raises the price objection? When was the last time that happened for you? It was the last sales call. If the customer raises the price objection and says, I can get the same thing from your competitor for $90, and the salesperson capitulates, what happens? They sell for $90, which means their commission drops by $1. No big deal. But what happens to the company? Now, the income to the company drops to $81. The hit on the company is significantly stronger than the hit is on the salesperson. So in sales contribution to profit, we add a new element, which is called the threshold. In this case, we're going to use an $80 threshold. Everything above $80, we split 50-50 between the company and the salesperson. So above $80 on a $100 sale is $20. The salesperson sells for $100. They get $10. What does the company get? $90. The 80 in the threshold and the 10 from the upsell. But what happens if the salesperson reduces the price to $90? What happens then? Their commission is half of $10 because from the threshold to the selling price is only $10. The salesperson gets $5. They take a major hit for a 10% discount. The company gets $85 rather than $81 two columns over. They get $85 because there's 80 in the threshold and then there's 5 in the rise above the threshold. Rethink compensation. It's one of the key elements in motivating, driving salespeople, but it's critical for creating profit, not just revenue. Let's look at your organization for a moment. There are plenty of options now for organizations. How do you want to organize your sales team going forward? You can organize them by accounts. Certain salespeople handle the whales, others handle the trout, others handle minnows. I recommend having your customer service people manage the minnow accounts, the smaller accounts. My last position at AT&T, I was a national account manager. That's a whale account. In order to be a national account, their phone bill had to exceed $2 million a month, so we're talking about significant accounts. You may want to organize your people by geography. That can save a lot of travel. It can give people the inside information about cultures and who's doing what and who the best companies are. So organize by geography. You can combine these, all the whales in a certain area, all the trout in a certain area. You can divide them up by industry. Industry specialization may become increasingly important, especially if you identify new industries that you want to go into. And again, that can be by geography, it can be some other way. Then there are the traditional methods of going to market. You can have direct salespeople, you can have salespeople through brokers or distributor reps, and there's a new one coming called a SUBER, which is a sales version of Uber. You would go into a clearinghouse, a website, and say, I want to expand into a city that's 300 miles from here. I don't want to go there and try to hire somebody. I don't want to send one of my people there. I don't know the rules of the game there. So you post your job. I need someone who understands my market, my industry. They're familiar with my CRM, and you put that into the database, and people start bidding on. These SUBERs start coming in and say, I have experience in your area. I live in this particular geography. I can take that position for you. And who knows what other new organizational models are going to come along. Outcome. What is your desired outcome going forward? Kaizen, use the process to modify your sales process and your sales cycle. Make sure you're doing that as well as you can. And then have as many digital tools as possible. Add more of them as you see the opportunities. Continually ask, who else and what else? Who else could we be selling to? What else could we be selling to our existing customers? Then rethink your compensation and your organization models on a regular basis. And in fact, if your salespeople are not saying, here we go again, you're probably not changing things often enough, or rapidly enough. You can reach me, Chuck, at chuckreeves.com or at the phone number there. If you would like more information, in fact, if you would like e-learning on any of these concepts and many more, simply go to my e-learning site, which is chuckreeves.online, or you can use the QR code here and it will take you to the website. I appreciate your attention. May God continue to bless your success.